Hey, tell me if this has ever been you. You um, find yourself feeling like you're winning, you're crushing your goals, you're succeeding, you're doing all the things that you said you were going to do. You have this momentum going on, and you're seeing the success, the results that you were gunning for, and you're feeling really good. And then the month that comes after that, you just tank and everything just falls apart, and you're like, what just happened? Here's an example. You're in a relationship and you are really connected to your partner. You feel like you guys have a good vibe together. You get along, you communicate really well. Like, this is your person. And then suddenly you're fighting about the stupidest things, and you're like, what is going on? Right? Or this is weight loss, and I'm pretty sure everybody who's ever been on a weight loss journey has had this one happen, right? You're like, okay, I'm losing the weight, I want to lose the weight, and you get on a program, you change your diet, you work, you set up the systems for you to get the results you want, and you lose the weight, right? And you're feeling really good, and then you gain it all back and a bit more, right? Like, has that ever been you? Or another one could be business, right? So you have your business goals, and you're like, okay, these are my revenue goals, and you hit them. Or these are my growth goals, and you hit them, and you're like, yes, we are winning. And then the following month, you just don't show up, and then you tank. Have you ever been in such a situation? Today, we're talking about self sabotage, and how, when you are building a business, you want to be aware of how it shows up, why it shows up, and most importantly, how you can combat it so that you can continue to crush your goals. You can continue to show up for yourself, for your business, for your family, for your life, to build that life that you want. That's what we're talking about today. Now, if you have never seen my face, I am Matilda Be, and I am a wife, a homeschooling mom, an entrepreneur, and I am a productivity coach and a business strategist. And I help busy moms build their dream business in the nooks and crannies of their day. I am the founder of Momming Smart, and at Momming Smart, we help women redefine motherhood to include their dreams. So if you stick with me for the next few minutes, I will share with you a tool, a tip, a system, or a strategy that you can use so that you can find that harmony between all things momming, all those things that are motherhood defined, but also that harmony between all that motherhood and building your business and and running your home. So um, today, like I said, we are talking about self sabotage, right? So what is self sabotage? It is basically shooting yourself in the foot. It's when you have, um, it's when you're winning. It's when you are, it's, let me put it this way. It is the subconscious feeling of unworthiness toward whatever it is that you desire, right? So like I gave you the example, you have this really good relationship, and you're in it, and you're like, yes, this is really good, I like this, right? But subconsciously, you either have trauma that you haven't dealt with, or you have you have limitations in your mindset that you haven't addressed, and so you feel unworthy to be in a good relationship. Maybe someone said something when you were 5 years old, or maybe someone did something, or it might be the examples that you have had, and somehow you don't believe that you are worthy of this wonderful relationship. So as soon as you're like, oh, this is awesome, your subconscious is like, oh, we are so in the wrong place, and so it starts working against you. And so your actions become aligned with your subconscious, and then suddenly you're having these fights, and you're like, why are we fighting over socks? Why are we fighting over like ridiculous things? I remember hubs hubs and I, there was a point where I was like, you know what, I actually I know you love me, and I can see that what you're doing is showing me love. Like, it's you're you're you are being loving by the actions that you're doing. However, because my template of love does not include that, I don't know what to do with this, right? So I'm like, why are you doing the dishes? And he's like, I'm helping you, I'm doing this for you. I'm like, no, you're saying you're doing that because you're saying that you don't like the way that I maintain the house, right? And then it becomes this big fight when he's like, I was just being kind, I was just being thoughtful and caring, and I was showing up for you, right? So it's things like that, right? So that is self-sabotage. So how does it show up? Like I just told you, it's when you it's when your actions are aligned with your subconscious, and so you are not showing up the way that you want. You're not doing the actions that are going to get you the results you desire. Instead, you are sh- doing actions that will actively hinder you from the results you desire, right? So you set up your goals, and you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to work on, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to accomplish, right? And you break it down and you're like, okay, these are the action steps, and you connect with all of that, and you're like, okay, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And then you just don't do it, right? Or you do it and you get that success, and then the minute you get that success, the minute you taste that win, you're like, oh my stars, I shouldn't be here. And then you start hiding. You start not doing the things because subconsciously you've told yourself, oh my stars, I shouldn't be here. I don't deserve this. And so your actions are aligned with that feeling of you not deserving the win, the money, the success, or the weight loss, or whatever it is, right? And so that's what happens. So how do you deal with self-sabotage, especially when it comes to your goals, your business, your life, right? Here are some tips that I have for you that you can apply, especially when you identify that you have when you realize that this is what's going on. Number one, you're going to identify the source of your self-sabotage, right? So when you get to this place and you're like, what's going on? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening around me? What is going on, right? You start asking yourself, why? What is going on? Why are you sabotaging yourself? Why is it fear? Is it fear of failure, or is it fear of success, right? Because sometimes you're afraid to do something because you think you're going to fail. But sometimes you're afraid to do something because subconsciously you don't think you're worthy of success, right? And you can see that the path that you're on is going to get you success, right? So for example, weight loss, right? You're like, oh my stars, I want to lose the weight. This happened to me. There was a time when I was like, okay, I want to lose 60 pounds, right? And I wanted to work on that 60 pounds. And I was like, I need to lose this weight. I want to lose this weight. However, subconsciously, I didn't believe that I deserved to lose the weight. I also believed that I needed to keep that weight, right? And I'll explain to you when I share with you the next tip on how you can curb self-sabotage, right? So the next thing is, all right, before the next thing, you want to understand what is driving your behavior. Because once you understand what is driving your behavior, why you are either not taking action, or why you are taking actions that are not taking you in the direction you want to go, you can then take control, right? You can then address those things. So first you need to identify what is the source of your self-sabotage, what's going on, right? And then you are going to make a plan to change your beliefs, because it's always a belief system, right? Now, when you know what's behind your self-sabotage, you can start working towards eliminating those beliefs, or tackling them, or dealing with them, right? So how do you deal with changing your belief system, right? The first thing you want to do is expose yourself to different perspectives, right? So you tell yourself that I want to lose weight, right? That's your active conscious decision. That's what you want to do, right? And then you realize that something is hindering you from losing weight, and you dig into it and you're like, oh my stars, no, this is actually self-sabotage, right? And then you ask yourself, why is this going on, right? So for me, in my case, it was that when I was very young and very impressionable, somebody who was very valuable to me, somebody who I believed, right? Like one of my sources for all truth when I was that little told me that within our culture, within our culture, within our world view, was that a woman who was happily married, satisfied, and um, basically happy, right, was on the larger side. And so I held on to that in my subconscious, such that now when I was like, oh my stars, I want to lose the weight, right? Um, actively I was like, you know what, I want to lose the weight, but subconsciously I was like, no, I'm a happy woman. I'm happily married and I am satisfied in my marriage. So why would I remove the status symbol of being happy, right? Because being overweight was the status of being happy. That was the connection that I had in my mind. And so I held on to that. And so every time I'd be like, I want to lose the weight, I would have a few wins and then I would gain it all back. And it was like, oh my stars, you have that yo-yo thing and you're like, what's going on? And that was what was going on for me. It was that subconscious belief that I didn't want to get rid of the status symbol of happiness and satisfaction and being just being being happily married, right? So I held on to that. So when you when you have identified what's going on for you, then you want to expose yourself to different perspectives, right? So ask yourself, are there people who are happily married who are not overweight, right? And the answer is yes, there are. So you start exposing yourself to the fact that, hey, there are other people are um who are who hold the values that I hold, but also have the outcomes that I want. Right. So the value that I hold is that is that I'm a happily married woman, but the outcome that I want is weight loss. And so you expose yourself to different perspectives until you find and you will find that there are people with the values that you have, right? So whatever it is that is important to you that your self-sabotage is trying to protect, right, is and they have the outcome that you also want, which is the goals that you're setting, the dreams that you desire, the whatever it is, right? You will find that there are people who have that, and that helps you start to redefine your beliefs, because you start to realize that, hey, this thought that I had, this belief system that I've had, this foundation of my belief system is cracked, it's broken, it's not right, it's not serving me, and then you can let it go, right? So the second thing that you want to do when it comes to making that plan to challenge yourself, to challenge your subconscious beliefs, is to take the time to reflect on your beliefs, right? So what are those things that you value? And why do you hold those beliefs, right? So like for me, it was the fact that the person who was very valuable to me said something that I then took as truth, and then later on realized that no, that was not truth. That was not truth. It was not it was not, it should not have been the foundation of my belief system, right? So you're going to ask yourself why you hold on to the beliefs that you do hold on to. So you're going to identify what your values are, and then ask yourself, why do you hold on to those beliefs, right? And then ask questions, talk to people around you, see what other people are saying, right? It's one thing to look outward and be like, okay, I listen to podcasts, I read books, I see people on TV, I look at the celebrities or whatever, right? The people who have won, right? It's different when you start talking to those around you. When you talk, like when you come to me and you're like, hey, Matilda, I know I've seen your weight loss journey. And I'm like, I see what you're doing. How are you balancing that? You know me, you have a relationship with me, and you can trust what I'm telling you because you have that relationship with me. So you look around you to those who are close to you, and you find the people within your circles, with people who you can actually reach out to and have a conversation with, and you talk to them about how they are navigating the values that you hold and the outcomes that you want, right? And how are they building that, and use the things that they're telling you to help you build a different belief system that will accommodate you and allow you the freedom to chase the goals that you want, right? um, One of the challenges that moms face right? And I've spoken to quite a few moms, and we all tend to have this struggle. It's finding that balance between running a home, raising kids, and running a business, building a business, right? Because um, we are often told that you can't have both. You either are a stay-at-home mom and you focus on the home, focus on the kids, and have no financial independence, or you're a working mom and your home's falling apart, or you don't feel like you're showing up in your home as much as you want to because you're always outside the home, right? And that is the standard. That is the standard. That is the status quo. It's like you either fit in one box or the other, right? And so when you're a mom like me who's like, no, actually I want to build a bridge between the two of them and have both, that becomes something that you constantly have to work on, because you'll find yourself going through that self-sabotage where you're like, where your subconscious is saying pick a side, right? You're either at home and focused on the home and the family and not at all doing anything for financial independence, or you're working on your financial independence and not doing anything for your home and your family, right? So it's like self-sabotage is that space where it's like you feel like your brain, it keeps telling you pick a side, right? And that's part of the reason why the brand Momming Smart exists, because it's saying that Momming Smart is redefining motherhood to include your dreams, to include your goals, to include your vision, right? It's finding that harmony between both those things, right? So the next thing when it comes to um, challenging self-sabotage and the subconscious beliefs that are holding you back is to practice self-compassion, because changing your mindset is hard, right? It's hard work. It's work and it's hard, but it's worth it, right? I was telling Hubs that I was chatting with Hubs and I was telling him how it felt like 2022 was a really hard year for me because of all the mindset work that I was doing, right? So because I've gone on this journey and I've learned so much and I'm applying so much, I'm in a place where when something happens, when something throws me off, it does not throw me off for as long. So where in 2018 something would throw me off and I would be struggling with that one thing for 3 or 4 months, now I'm at a place where I'm like, oh, I can immediately identify this is self-sabotage and I can work on it. And to at most, I think at this point, the longest that it takes me is 2 weeks to bounce back. And I'm still working on it because I want to get to a point where I'm like bouncing back in a couple of minutes, right? So as I am working on that, because now it's taking me a few days, right? Maximum 2 weeks to work through something and move on, it feels like I'm working through more things, right? I mean, if you take the example of if I'm working on something, I'm working on something with my mindset every week, then that means that in 2022, it felt like I faced 52 challenges, whereas in 2018, I only faced 3 because I was working on one thing for 4 months. And then there's that temptation to feel like 2018 was an easier year than 2022, when actually, 2022, my mindset, my baseline for everything was so much higher that even as I was facing those challenges, I was in a better place. I was in a happier place. I was in a more content place. And so 2022 was actually my best year yet, right? So you want to start practicing self-compassion as you face these challenges, because you're going to start identifying that, hey, this is self-sabotage. And you're going to feel like I've worked on this, and then it's going to come back and you're going to like, oh my stars, I have to work on it again, right? But this is a journey, right? And it's the daily work that you do that will get you the results that you want. So while you are doing the work, be gentle with yourself, be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself, and that's going to help you as you're working on um, on combating self-sabotage, right? Another thing that you want to do is you want to develop healthier coping tools, right? So as you learn that as you learn how to identify self-sabotage when it happens, you also want to start equipping yourself with the things that you will do when you're facing these challenges so that you can work on them faster, so that you also don't find yourself falling into the cycle of self-sabotaging yourself, right? So one is knowing that it's understanding how your mind works. It's understanding how where your mindset is with your beliefs, and it's all the things that I've just mentioned, right? And so what you do when you have all those things is say, okay, with the weight loss example, I understand and I know that when I lose the weight, I will probably feel unworthy to have lost the weight. So you start building basically a framework on how to protect the wins that you have, right? So with weight loss, it would be mindset work. It's constantly reminding, it's having affirmations um that help me remember that I am worthy of the body that I love, right? I'm worthy of the body that I desire, right? It's reminding yourself that, hey, this is possible, not just for me, but here is proof that it is possible because so and so has done it, so and so has done it, so and so has done it. Pick whatever tools that you need. Is it journaling? Is it meditation? Is it affirmations? Is it tapping? Whatever it is, what are the tools that you need so that in that moment when you're like, this is self-sabotage, you can steer yourself away from the coping mechanisms that you had before, right? And build a new pathway that will guide you and lead you to the goals that you desire. And then the last thing that I want to share with you is that you want to find support. You want to be in the presence of people who are um, working towards the same goals that you are, or who are working towards goals. It doesn't have to be the same goals, but you want to be in the presence of people who understand what it is that you're working towards. So, for example, in our community, we work together, and our community is built for women, moms who are building their businesses in the nooks and crannies of their day, because there are so many things that are that affect our days that don't necessarily affect a dad, that don't affect, or that are not that are not a thing for somebody who is in their 20s and has no kids, right? So in that community, you know that yes, we may both be building a business, but I am in the presence of people who also understand the life that is happening around me, right? So always make sure that you have community, make sure that you have support. If you need to talk to a therapist, get yourself in, get yourself on a therapist's chair, get to talk to somebody, right? So those are the things that I wanted to share with you when it comes to identifying self sabotage and making sure that it does not hinder you from your goals, right? So if you want to crush your goals this year, you want to pay attention and you want to start identifying those times and spaces when self sabotage is popping up and hindering you, when your actions are not aligned with the goals that you are trying to achieve. Now, if you are a mom building a business, like I said, we have a community for you where we share the tools, the tips, the systems, the strategies to find that harmony between being a present mom, building a business, and running your home, right? So it is the Momming Smart community, and you can drop community at the bottom of um, wherever you're listening, right? Drop community in the comments, and we'll get you your invite to that community. Also, I am running the social media launch strategy challenge. It is going to be January 25. It's happening January 25 to 27. So mark your calendars. And make sure that you get registered for that. So that's it from me for today. Until next time, you have a good one.